The truth?
Oh, I'm all ears.
Okay. The truth.
I always tell the truth, even when I lie.
Why do you find it so hard to believe?
Why do you find it so easy?
It's never been easy. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
All I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.
Hello and welcome to Truthful Talk. We're back here doing this thing, and I'm Marco. We have Natalie with us today.
Hello.
And Samantha's with us today.
Hello.
And we're here. This is a first podcast post U.S. General election, and so we're dealing with things just like I think most of the world is at this point, and we're dealing with something at least for me was very unexpected is how the election went this time. And we don't want to get too far into the politics of it, but, there's a lot of people out there right now who are either hurting, they're scared. They're just the feeling of being betrayed. And it's not betrayed as I think how we would normally think of it. I think it's more, I have some of these feelings as well of it's a betrayal of a way of life, of things that I've been taught and how to live our lives, like kind of like a morality tale and the morals I was instilled with through my family, through my culture, through society, and through my religion. I had certain morals in my entire life. I made it, 50 something years with a certain moral code. And I feel that might have been shaken a little bit with who has been put in charge of the country, which is somebody for me personally, who is on a different side of the moral platform. So today, instead of talking about how we got here and what's, and all of that, we want to talk about what are some things we can do looking forward, and how do we assure that we as a society and we as people and you as families and friends and work and social groups, how do we continue moving forward in the most productive and happy and positive way possible?
Yes, Nat, how?
and I think that's kind of what we need to look at, because it's real easy to get down about this stuff, or if you're on the side that is like wants all of this, it's really easy to start gloating, but still be very negative and be very hurtful to those around you. And, because it's as if like, it's like when you're professional sports and your team wins and you like to talk, trash against the other team. And It's like, well, we can't allow ourselves as humans and Americans and people to go there.
Maybe on that day, I understand, everybody has their own side that they're kind of enjoying or in shock or crying or whatever it is.
Right.
So I think that the grace on both sides, like there should be a little bit of grace. That's all. Maybe that night, have fun, enjoy. But continuing on, since it's been, a week now? Maybe just be self-aware. That would be nice, because it can be inciting to someone or hurt someone's feelings if that's something that you're interested in. Like, you don't have to wear both sides, hats or shirts or whatever it is. I like it when in public, if you will, if I'm in a certain place that that's not all around me. I just got my little nails done and pedicure that I haven't done in a long time. And the woman who was doing it, she was mentioning the win, the incredible win. And I looked at her and I said, honestly, I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
And she looked at me and she wasn't taken aback. She wasn't rude. She goes, okay, no problem. And then she continued to like pamper me and, help. And she was wonderful, lovely. She was maybe a rare bird that maybe she heard me. Maybe she saw pain in my eyes. I don't know what it was, but she gave me at least the grace to I wasn't mean about it. I said, I just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, got it. Like maybe she assumed that I was on one side of the other. So that was actually refreshing. My mother was with me, and actually my mother said, no, go ahead. Tell us what you want to say. My mother was speaking on behalf of me and her. And I looked at my mother thinking, like, could you please? I just spoke to this woman, human to human. We're strangers.
Yeah.
This woman respected what I said. And the woman looked at my mom and she goes, if she doesn't want to talk about it, that is okay. Grace.
Yeah.
Right.
It was very simple.
Because it is an interesting thing. So, right, I've been into sports my whole life, and as a sports fanatic, you wear the merch, you wear the hat, you do all the things, and it's our team versus your team. It's still all in fun. There's typically, I know can be some real hatred in sports, but usually it's all just fanaticism.
Those Eagles fans, they are not kind.
Yeah, right. But it's still fanaticism. It's not like we treat each other, for that sporting event, we're at odds. But in life, we don't have to be at odds. If you have an Eagles fan and a Giants fan, you can still get along. You just don't root for the same teams. And on game day is when you disagree. But, or even music. Right. You're a huge Harry Styles fan. And so you'll have Harry Styles merch and Harry Styles things. And I get that. It's a celebrity, right? Swifties out there have Taylor Swift merchandise. And I get that. You're promoting that. But this is different. The moment a politician becomes a celebrity, to me, it crosses cultural lines that we shouldn't be crossing. Because if we're out there gloating, and there's really just one side that's doing this, but if you're out there gloating and wearing the merch and showing and flying flags and everything else, one could be gloating of victory, but it didn't matter if there's a victory or loss. It doesn't matter about that. It just matters that, oh, look, I'm on this side, you're on the other. It's very divisive in that. And any fanaticism can be divisive, like in sports and everything else. But it's not, there's not a lot at stake. Versus this is morality of the whole country. And if we go out there and we don't say that, hey, we're a human first and we're here for each other. But instead, it's like, nope, if you're not on my side, and pretty much when you wear, a politician's merchandise from any side, it doesn't matter what side it is. If you're wearing that, you're pretty much speaking of, nope, this is the only other people I want to talk to. So it becomes divisive. And I don't know when it happened, when politicians became celebrities. I think it happened with
The Apprentice.
Yes. I think that was it, right? When you had, because even back in the Reagan days, Reagan was an actor, but I don't remember him bringing the celebrity part of being an actor. And back then it was a whole different day, and he was an actor back when it was, it was a different time. It wasn't mass media and social media and everything else. So sure, the fact of The Apprentice and learning how that works and everything else, to me, this whole political campaign was like a reality TV show.
Yep.
Which was interesting. Like the way we consumed it was like reality TV and who got the likes and everything else. So I think moving forward, it's over, right? The season of the reality TV show ended, and we have to go back and say, okay, well, how do we live together?
It's part 2. Sorry.
Yeah. But how do we do that? How do we live together, regardless of who the politicians are? How do we, the people, come together, work together, live together, help each other, and live as a society? It starts with like living as a neighborhood and coming together as people in a neighborhood and watching out for each other. And then within families, and then within more mass society, like a city. Like, how do we do that? How do we look out for each other? And what do we focus on instead of focusing on the politics, which is purely divisive?
I think we need to be there for the people that are in our lives that we care about and that we love. And I think it starts there, right? I have many views on this issue. I'm going to continue to raise my kids, our kids, to be kind and loving, and our son to grow up and respect women and allow women to make their own choices. And I want him to grow up doing that. And for our daughters, I want them to know that they are 100% in control of their bodies and the choices that they make. And while we can guide them, at the end of the day, it is their decision.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we agree or disagree, it is up to them and it is their choice. And for me, I'm going to continue to do that with my family. And I'm going to still continue to be there for my friends that are part of groups and organizations. And I feel like it kind of starts there.
Yeah.
So teaching the right lessons to our children.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to. I think it starts in the home. We have to teach the right lessons. And to me, part of that depends upon what you show them, what you expose your kids to, what, like even, some of the merch that's out there is very negative. Like the stuff that it says is very vulgar and negative, either against women or against, even like, I've seen stuff like against, candidates that are very vile. It's like, well, what are you teaching your kids wearing that?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because that's ultimately who's seeing that.
We have to have a better morality compass. We can still disagree without being vile and vulgar, which is the easy way out. I mean, that's coming from the fear center, is having to throw names at each other and having to be hateful. I mean, that's all fear. Versus if we come from love and really try to be, no, listen, I'm voting for this person, but here's why. Like, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Not just say I'm voting for this person because yours sucks. It's like, well, tell me why mine sucks then. Let's go there. Right? Like, and we saw a lot of that, like a lot of attack on, like Kamala, for example, just of being a woman, and there wasn't any little, tell me politically what you don't like about her, well, she slept her waist to the top. I'm like, well, okay, that's not true. But let's even go past that and say what politically, well, she's not very effective. I'm like, based on what? Like, what do you, and it's just, it's this feeling that we're just throwing hate back and forth. Instead of, okay, no, let's actually talk about issues.
Maybe
let's
with
talk about issues.
curiosity, maybe,
Yeah.
like asking like, what made you, or what about this thing that I'm kind of unclear with? And
Right.
maybe not thinking that one side knows everything and knows all, because maybe we
Right.
can learn from each other
Come together
or something, because I have questions that I would like to talk to someone who's, well-grounded, not abusive or abrasive. I'd like to hear in certain aspects why, because I'm curious to see how that works. And with curiosity, without the need to change someone else. That's all.
Right. That's a really good point. Curiosity without the need to change. So you're not coming at the conversation like, I'm going to change your mind to agree with me.
Right. I'm just curious.
But being open to saying, I really want to learn your point of view. That's a really, that's where it starts. I think that's where we have that. We can come together and say, listen, I'm going to be open. I want to really understand your point of view.
Whether you agree with it or not, because
sure.
Right. There are people that can express their point of view and I might not agree with that. And that's okay.
Yeah, and I think at the end, this is where we have to go. We work in something in acting called open mode, which is opening ourselves up to other points of view and other things that, is outside of our logical mind, which is our fear center that keeps us kind of controlled and in place. And in open mode, because as an actor, our job is to actually open ourselves up to different points of view that are different than the world we see as the actor ourselves. We have to open ourselves up to see the world that is this character in this play or in this movie. We don't just pretend to take on another point of view. We have to actually take on another point of view. And I think it's so liberating, cathartic. There's a freedom in that of being able to take on someone that has a vastly different point of view of yours. Not that it's going to change your point of view necessarily, but it can make you more empathetic of a different or an opposing point of view. And I mean, I remember playing a teach in American Buffalo, right? And this is somebody who's probably born in the 40s and coming up in the 50s, 60s. The play takes place in the 70s. And he's on the streets of Chicago. So, he's the character that I played, Teach, is a con man, and he's racist, right? He's very crude in the way
vulgar.
he talks about people, very vulgar, a bit misogynistic, like all of these things. But as the actor, I can't just play that. The idea, I have to really step in and find out, why does this person feel this way of seeing the points of view of the world? And when I stepped into Teach and did all of the work that we do as an actor to get there, a lot of empathy work, but a lot of the work to get there, I understood his point of view. I understood that. I understood the racist point of view. Now, Marco doesn't agree with it, right? As more of an enlightened person, but somebody going back into that time period, going back into how he was, this character was raised and what had happened to get him to where he's at, all of those things, right? I understand the more misogynistic view. I understood that. Now, again, coming back to me, it's not that I'm saying, oh, I'm going to change my point of view to be that, but I can now empathize why somebody would end up with that point of view. Or say, wow, they're still a human, and it's still based in fear, still based in love, or maybe the rejection of love that they had in their life. It's still based in a lot of things. And I think if we can, as humans, go deeper and really try to understand not just what our point of view is today, but how did you arrive at that point of view? I think we can all get along a little better, at least all be empathetic with each other, and maybe kind of mend the divide that we have. Just that understanding. We do it as artists. I mean, that is our artistic process. We're never playing a character. Now, I say I'm incorporating artists that are trained. I'm incorporating artists that do a deep level process, and they go through a lot of the hard work. So, a lot of, your London trained actors, for example, are going through what we call deep level process. Your conservatory trained actors are going through deep level process. Yes, I know, because I get pushback sometimes when I'm on my videos online and stuff. People will come back and say, no, we just pretend. I'm like, well, you're just not trained. I mean, but we do. The real artists, we really go into that point of view. I mean, we really do that hard work. And what an amazing thing, stepping into someone else's shoes just for a little while. Did you ever experience that? I mean, with any of the characters you played, did you ever?
Every single one of them. After being trained, it's such a important aspect to have. It allows you the ability to step in someone's shoes for your neurologically. You're connecting your different synapses in a different way that you wouldn't have thought. When you take on a character and you do the work, she becomes a part of you, you become a part of her, you mesh. You end it, it's over. And I believe if you do the work properly, or at least from my experience, I always learn something from them, always about myself and about them. So having that ability, or at bare minimum, the curiosity to bring that to other human beings, for me was always more natural than not. I've had a lot of people kind of build their innermost, whatever it is, because it came from a non-judgmental place for me. And it just makes it that much more understand. You can understand someone's point of view. You were just saying, Sam, that you don't have to agree with it, but you can sit there without wanting to kill each other. Right. You can sit there without needing to change. And then you'll have somebody who comes in every once in a while and wants to change you. So when that happens, whether that is your family member, your whomever that is, I suggest getting up, leaving, maybe exiting. They're not going to hear you. They're not ready to hear you. They're going through their own stuff. Make time specifically for people in your life that are going to fulfill you and give you, I want to say, a beautiful oxygen to the fire that you're trying to build for a lovingness, a happiness. Someone's trying to douse your fire out with anger, with hate, with whatever it is, the divisiveness. My suggestion is go the other way, move the other way, because they're in a different frequency than you are completely.
Right.
But if somebody has the capacity to sit intelligently with you and just talk with you, listen to you, and you can commune, you're communing from someone's different point of view. If you can bring that to your day-to-day life, I think that's a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely experience to have, even though some people, I've heard some things that I'm like, wow, I had no idea she thought this. Wow. And man, does this mean that her completely I dislike, or just this one aspect of her, or whatever it is? So, you have your own choice of who you spend time around, who you want to be around. Make that a healthy choice.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's who's promoting love. Who's because you can tell the difference between a person who's what we call a taker and someone that's a giver. Someone that's a giver is somebody that can be open to the people around them, be empathetic to the people around them, and they're willing to help and give. You're giving or transmitting your love. Versus takers are, what do I want from you right now? I need this from you and
power,
this from you.
Control, or I want you to change your mind. To add to what you're saying.
It's what we call inward focused, and it's fear based. Versus somebody that's open is love based, and it's outward focused. It's actually what we train for as actors. But it's the cool thing is the acting philosophy. How we train as actors is really how you train to be better human beings. It's based in psychology, sociology, human behavior. It's based on all of those things. So it is interesting. But you're right. If we can gather around people who are willing to give. It doesn't matter what the political beliefs are. Right. It doesn't matter what religion you are, or even if you're non-religious. None of those things matter, as long as if you can be a decent human being and come from love. We can have opposing opinions on something, but still come from love.
Yeah, I think it depends on what those opposing things are. If they're moral issues, then we can choose to align with that or not align with that. And I think that's very important. And, with what we're going through as a country, we know, where you align. Do you align on this or do you align on that? And that's where you have to, that's what you have to fight for. And that's what you have to, for us and for me, I want to choose love, and I want to be there, and I don't want to operate from fear. And I know that there's a lot of fear happening right now, and it's understandable. But I don't want to live in fear, right? Because I don't know the way out of that.
Well,
and I think the way out,
no way out,
right?
Of fear. The only way out is through, right? So we have to go through to the other side, but we don't want to. The more we cultivate fear and focus on it, it grows and grows and grows from within the box. And our job is to get out of the box,
right?
So to work through it, but put our focus on the here and now, the people around you, the things that you do have within your control.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's a big thing too. What are the things in your control, your environment, your surroundings, the people you choose to spend time with, blood or not blood, because of how they make you feel about a certain thing?
That's a good point. The choose word. I thought that was very important.
Right. Because if you feel that we are just, people that we have to go through this, and, I have to take what this man said to me or this woman said to me, whether it's my family, immediate or not, I got to take this. Guess what? I don't. Right. And then I can cross whatever bridge I need to later on. If I step away and step away and step away several times, but the same pattern happens again, and I go there with love and I'm open, and here it goes again. Sometimes I think like, okay, now who's the dodo bird, or who's the fool in this scenario? Right. I told this person I'm uncomfortable. I've told this yada, yada, yada.
Right.
It's not landing.
Right.
They're not respecting. So instead of possibly, let's say, you can be hurt, of course, but souring the situation or making it worse, like, you know what? I just won't spend time with them. And that's okay. That's a choice. And I'm willing to go ahead and say, well, my time is precious, and how you're treating me in this moment, you don't deserve my time. And you move on. You leave them behind you until maybe they come to an understanding one day, like, wow, she really didn't like that, and I miss her. Let me try to maybe, it's something that you have to just move forward, move on with.
Yeah, I think that deserves a little bit of
That was the first one.
Hey.
Listen,
You really like that one. I'll have to get that one back there.
oh yeah, you like that one.
So it's but no, I think that was really well put. It's we choose who we put it's the one thing we still have control over is our time.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, right we're choosing to be here together and to do this.
Yes.
You choose.
You know what's beautiful?
What?
Is that we have a choice.
Well, that's what
And
I'm-
isn't it wonderful when we have choices?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what we still need to fight for, right? We still need to fight for the continued efforts for all humans to be, that are treated equal. We're all created equal, but for all humans to be treated equal and for all humans to have choices.
Right.
Mhm.
And because there's so many different things and yes, and we shouldn't have anyone, like women should not be treated inferior to men in any ways. There should be no hierarchy of race. There should be no hierarchy of culture. We need to come together and figure that out. And because you're right, the choice, that is the biggest thing of a democratic society, is that we do have choices as humans.
Mm-hmm.
And we can, have those choices. And so I think that's what we have to look at. And, because you out there have choice of where you put your time. And that's the one thing I want to focus on, not other choices, but choice of time. Because that is something, because obviously we could all have a choice to do bad things too. And yes, you can make a choice to do bad things, but there are consequences to that. So taking that out of the equation, let's just focus on time. There's nothing that really controls our time except us. We choose where to go every day. We choose where we are every minute. And some people will say, yeah, well, I have to go to work. It's like, well, you don't have to go to work. You're choosing to go to work because work provides you with money that then you can pay for things.
Right.
It's still a choice. Well, I have to be, well, you don't have to be anywhere. You don't have to do anything. And if we start looking at we actually are in control of the choices we make regarding time. And who you spend your time with is going to affect who you are. Who you spend your time with. And you choose that. At least once you get to a certain age, as an adult, you choose that. I know as a child, you don't necessarily have a choice. If you have good parents, bad parents, you don't have a choice of that. If you just have weird parents, you don't have a choice of that. But once you get to a certain age, you do. And so it's like, well, oh yeah, I'm constantly surrounded by this negativity at home. And someone in their 20s says that. It's like, well, why do you choose to be around that? Well, I have to be. Well, no, you don't have
Because
to be.
it's family, right?
Right. And then we come into these ideological things of right, it's family, so I have to be there for them. Or, family, regardless of how bad family ever treats you, blood is thicker than water and you have to be there for them. And it's like, no.
And that's a big one because I come from the Hispanic community and the Hispanic community is big on that. Like family, no matter what your mom says or no matter what your dad says, those are your parents and you must honor and respect them. And that's just the way it is.
Right. No matter how hard your parents hit you, you have to love and respect. It's like, no.
How much they emotionally abused you.
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We 100% disagree with that. Like,
And we try to raise our kids, much differently. We're a little more on the fringe, I think, as parents, with how we raise our kids. We're more open with our kids. We always had been.
mm-hmm.
We talk to them about things very openly. Where other parents are like, no, you need to restrict this and don't tell kids this, and children should be seen and not heard, yada, yada, yada. That's the generation I grew up in.
Yeah.
I love listening to our kids when they have opinions.
But we allow them. We've allowed them since they were young, 8 and 10 years, to have well, what's your take on this? What's your opinion on this? Not that we're going to listen to everything they say. We're going to be open to what they're saying. We're not taking direction from them.
Yeah.
Right.
But they do have opinions.
It's so important to give kids a voice.
Oh my God. That's so profound. That's so incredible.
And when you do it from an early age, when you let them just have input of whatever we're talking about. And, now listen, it's within reason. Of course, there's conversations that maybe Sam and I would have alone outside of the earshot of children when it's things that could damage them in some way or something that they don't need to know because of fear or anything else. But, the common life things of things that we talk about, even whether it has to do with money, whether it has to do with whatever, it's that we talk to them about it. The issues in the world.
Yeah.
Politics. We'll sit down and discuss it with them. We don't tell our kids this is who you have to align with because of whatever. It's like, no, we're going to talk to you about being, open, and we're going to listen to them. The thing I've learned, which was pretty amazing, is that our children, which then I believe all children, because ours is like we have enough for a good sampling, right?
Sampling.
But we have 5, right? And so it's a good sample of, I think, the world. But the one thing I was always amazed at is how much they really did have to offer back to us.
Yeah.
Like they had really good opinions at young ages just because of the world today.
Yeah.
Especially when they started being connected online and they could read more and they were connected with people all over the world. And it was like, wow, they're really enlightened. I was really surprised at how enlightened, our kids were. When growing up, it was, at 12 years old, nope, we still didn't have an opinion.
Right. And you're going out, whoever, to go find answers with God knows who else is out there and all this stuff, that might have been done at that time because the parents were saying that there was a barrier between you and the parents.
Right.
Yeah, there was that barrier.
And they feel so validated.
That's so beautiful.
You know?
And that's the biggest thing. That's what I always said is I always want to focus on our kids' mental health and emotional health first.
Over anything
else. I regardless of what their grades are in school, regardless of how, quote unquote, good or bad they are with different aspects of life. It's mental health first, because we can have straight A students that have poor mental health.
Or just shitty people.
Or just shitty people.
I've known many that had both.
Right.
But it's more about teaching them life lessons to where when they're on their own, they can make proper decisions that are empathetic and inclusive of those around. I was driving around with one of our kids the other day, and she was telling me I was really proud of her because we're driving and I think I can't remember what was happening. We're coming up to a light that we're on the right-hand lane coming up to a light that was also a turn lane and the light was red. She's like, Dad, you should really get over to your left because if someone behind you wants to turn, then we're not blocking them. And I was like, that was really cool. That was really cool because I wasn't really paying attention and I was just going to go to the light and just keep going forward. I was in my right to do so. But all of a sudden she was thinking about other people.
Yeah.
Just in that moment of, hey, why don't you get over just because then, we're not inconveniencing others. And that little bit, I was like, wow, that's me. That's me saying that.
Yeah.
I say that to people. And I was like, hey, why don't you get over to make way for people, other people. And it was like, wow, that's a life lesson, right? It has nothing to do with who you're voting for, or what are you doing, or what religion are you, or all of this, or what grades are you getting in school, or it's just how do we treat the world? How do we view the world? And how can we look out for the people around us instead of just looking out for ourselves?
Right. So who you are as a person.
Yes.
And your personality.
Yes.
And the choices that you make, right? That is a reflection of who you are.
Yes.
So we teach our kids, we try to live our life coming from love. And that's who we're going to surround ourselves with. And that's who we're going to defend. And we're going to be there for those that need us.
Right. I always want to be there for those people that are in need. I mean, we've always done that. Let's try to help those who are in need. And ultimately we want to be around people that, I'm not one that always just wants to surround myself with people that think exactly like what I do, but I want to surround myself with good people, good-hearted people who care.
Yeah, we can have difference of opinions on many things.
Absolutely.
Right. But respect is one that...
Respect. There you go. There's the word I've been searching for. Respect
is one, right. Because if we're married, but you're not respecting me on a daily, right, and I'm making a choice to continue my marriage with you, then that's a choice I'm making, right?
Right. It's staying in an abusive relationship.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's not okay.
I would not choose to be with someone that is abusive or that is disrespectful.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, what do you think? You're
I
awfully
am.
quiet.
Am I? No, I'm listening. And I think listening to the story about your daughter being aware that there are other people and looking out for them. I think that's how you start doing stuff within your house, within your community, within your neighbor. It's like you actually have to take care of the stuff that you have and your people around you like that. It's in all the small stuff. It's in all the day-to-day stuff. Like if you're an asshole in the road and you're, barking at the lady at Publix because, she's out of whatever and she can't find it and it's her fault, we have to reassess. You have to reassess. You have to look in. We talked about looking in the mirror and saying, okay, maybe I need to just take it easy and it's little by little. It all adds up to the bigger picture of your life, of how you want your life to be. Do you want to have wonderful, inspiring people around you and have a life of beauty and kindness and help and laughter and joy and giggles and all this stuff? Or do you want it to be just conflict and divisive and you want it to just, put people down because it makes you feel better? If that's your choice, then that's so be it. But it is in the small things. And I think listening, maybe we should listen more also, instead of always knee-jerk reaction. Because even if we feel hurt, it's like, let me take a breath to listen what this person's truly saying. And if it's worth my time to respond to it, because I feel like I can help someone,
right,
and they'll receive it,
yeah,
and that's wonderful.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Little by little.
Yeah. I think the beauty in all this is that we're going to be able to see the outcome of everything that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually going to be able to see it unfold. And it's going to be very telling.
Yes.
And I think that all we can do for now is just take it day by day. And I know a lot of people are happy and there's a lot of people that are angry and hurt. And I think all these feelings are valid. But what do we do about it?
Mm-hmm.
What do we do with these feelings?
Yeah. I think reaching out to each other, especially there's people that come to mind in certain instances like this.
Yeah.
It can be close friends of mine. It can be acquaintances. It's just, it pops in my head. Like why do I want to reach out to this person right now to see how they're doing?
Right.
I think like how you try to help someone else, it helps you. When you help someone else, you help yourself go through that same exact situation without even recognizing it.
Right.
So even reaching out to someone and seeing how they're doing, I think is a big step. It's small things and how we can go from there and maybe start a dialogue or a conversation again from that point of view, from their point of view. Maybe they need a little bit of venting. Maybe they just need to be heard from someone that they trust. So I think that friendship, acquaintanceship, whatever that is to you, is important.
I think there's a lot of just fear going on right now across the board. I mean, and there always is, right? There's always, it doesn't matter what time of life you are and everything else. There's a lot of fear, and fear is part of the human experience because fear keeps us alive. But when we're consuming negativity at the rapid pace that we consume it through whether it's media, news, social media, when we're consuming negative things that enhance that fear, it's very hard to balance out in life. And so what I teach the students is that we have the two sides. It's called the duality of the human psyche. I have a whole thing on our YouTube channel if you want to go take a look at that. But there's two sides of us, and our fear center is one of our predominant sides that guide us. The other side is our love center, which is our feelings and emotions and all of that. Well, our feelings and emotions drive us to want to do something. Like it's think of it as the excited child that wants to go out and play. And the fear side of us is that very restrictive parent that wants to control and make sure the child is safe. And so there's two sides of us. If we feed through information, social media, the news, if we feed that fear center more than we do the love center, then the fear center is going to grow and it's going to be the one that dominates us. And when we operate just from fear, when the whole society is operating predominantly from fear, that's where all of this negativity comes from. And so I think we have to make sure we're disconnecting from social media. We're disconnecting from the 24-hour news cycle. We go take walks. We go to restaurants to be with each other. We go, we can go see a movie, but let's do it together and go, let's do things together.
Yeah.
As people come together and let's nourish that love side of ourselves. Remember that you are enough. And yeah, I mean, it's human. I ultimately believe that humans are good. I believe that when the fear gets out of whack, we become negative because we just have those two sides. If we're filled with that negativity too much, then we can be driven by it. But if we're filled with the love, we can be driven by that. For me, my mission is to try to swing that pendulum over with all of my students from that fear to that love, at least a little bit. If I can swing it a little bit, get someone to feel better about themselves, get someone to feel better about the people around them. Well, maybe we can make a change that way. I don't know.
It's a good start. It's, you know what? Why not? Give it a go. Try it on.
To me, it's what we do at the theater, right? The slogan of our theater is uniting humanity through the arts, one story at a time. And it's like, well, I believe that. We sit together in a room, all different cultures, all different types of people from walks of life, and we come together and we experience something emotional together. We go on that same ride together. There's something uniting about that. Even if it's just for that brief period of time, we did all come together for that moment. And if through the arts, we can get people to feel something, which is our job as artists, right? If we get people to feel something, then maybe we can open them up even a little bit, even briefly, to something new.
I love that. Still have hope.
How? Absolutely. We must have hope. We must fight for togetherness. We must fight for love. When I say love, not romantic love, I mean the love of humans, the love of people, the love of who we are, the love of yourself. You must fight for that on a daily basis and hold true to your values.
Be good people.
Be good people. Treat each other with respect. It's not hard to do. We just can't let fear overcome us. That's really what it comes down to. And fear is attractive. Fear is alluring. It really is. It's this dark blanket that we just, it feels so good when we wrap ourselves around it. But it's motivating us in not the best direction. We can be better. We can do better.
Yeah.
And I believe we will.
And I do believe change, for things to change, you must be uncomfortable.
Yes.
But I also believe that with being uncomfortable, you can fight for change and for what you want in the right way.
Yes.
So for me, I speak only for myself. It's like, how do I continue to fight for kindness and for love and for equality? How do I continue to, I need to continue to do that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of fear. But I just think
we need to be the examples to our children.
Right.
And it's, with kids, one of the best parenting lessons I could ever give somebody, it's not about what you say. It's about what you do. That's what children will emulate. They will not emulate what you tell them. They will emulate what they see you do and how you live your life. So for me, I want my kids to see someone that comes from love, that is patient, that allows people with different opinions to talk and to have a voice, to be very level-headed and fair-minded. And so I try to do that. I try to live by that. And then I have not just our children in the house, right? Not just our 5, but every student I have is like a child, right? In a way, right? It's a very weird thing, but it's just like, I got like, as a teacher, I care so deeply about all of my kids, even my extended family. And so now it's the same thing. It's like, well, if I'm teaching you something, that's why every time I walk in, that's why I look a certain way. I wear a jacket. I need to look a certain way and act a certain way. And I let everyone talk to me about whatever their fears are. And because they need to see that, yes, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible to achieve that. There's a lot of fear, but it is possible. I believe that.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay. All right. Well, that's where we'll end today. That sounds like a good stopping point.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be back once again. Don't know where we're going from here, but right now, I think it's just keep hope alive. Keep love in your heart. Don't worry about what you think. Don't worry about anything else going on. Just keep love in your heart. Love will prevail, especially if we have enough of it and we come together with it.
Yeah.
Treat yourself with kindness and reward yourself for the risk that you take. And we'll see you again soon. All right. Bye, everyone.
If you'd like to learn more about our studio and what we do, you can find us online at truthfulacting.com. And check out truthfulactingonline.com for our Learn at Home at Your Own Pace courses.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.